I am very pleased to be able to welcome our first official guests on the Community Conversations channel today, Paul and Matt, who many will recognise from the Hub mentoring calls that are held once a fortnight from Positive Living Communities. And today really is to share what they're doing and how they're supporting people, because they really are doing some fantastic things, and also hear about what is going on, because we were just chatting briefly a minute ago, and actually there are some incredible things that are happening and that we aren't necessarily aware of. So I think it's a great time to have this conversation. So I'd love to welcome you both, and if you'd like to give a short little intro, and for those that don't know who you are.
Well, I'm Matt, and this is my lovely colleague Paul. We've been kind of busy.
I can say hi as well.
We've been busy beavering away on a holistic society template, but it's not kind of dogmatic or anything. It's just a kind of guide for people who want to kind of come out of that 3D kind of matrix system and into a kind of more supportive, loving, and kind kind of environment. And yeah, so it all kind of started with a little kind of mad scientist moment where I kind of scribbled everything down and showed Paul this mad sellotape bit of paper, several bits of paper together, this sort of sacred geometry template. And he's like, right, I can get that. I'm straight, I can see that totally. And then we kind of just been fleshing that out really ever since. I don't know. It's lovely because it's all kind of a self-contained system, but it's not reliant on any kind of dogma or any kind of one size fits all. I'll kind of Paul's very good at kind of summing up as well, so I'll keep quiet and give him some space as well.
No. It's fine. I mean, just to say, I'm Paul. My background's business change consulting, leadership coach, trainer, workshop facilitator in the business world, and also evolutionary life coaching and spiritual mentoring and guidance, things like that, and energy systems healing. So a bit sort of foot in a couple of different camps here. But when I first met Matt back in sort of May 22, and he unrolled his deep sea scroll of this kind of brain dump from star family and time traveling and things, I was kind of like looking at it and going, I can see how that can work, because I've got a background in managing communications and creating communications in change programs and training and learning experiences. And so I could just see it all working straight away from these drawings and sketches. And it was just like, wow, I'm really called to support that and just bring that to life. So that's really what we've been doing over the last, I guess year and a half, and coming up for nearly 2 years soon. And we've been fortunate enough to be in at the beginning with the PHA pretty much to support the hub building calls on a fortnightly basis, so that we can give real live problem solving advice, support, solutions, ideas, and things like that to hub builders all around the world. And as we've said, the magic that's happening in these meetings is amazing. We're getting people from, New Zealand helping people in Portugal with particular issues, and we're getting someone sharing how they do something in Spain that's helping somebody out in Bradford. It's just it's this whole sort of, just the magic starts to happen when people come together around these really important ideas. So it's been an absolute joy and privilege to be involved in those conversations and facilitate the discussions. And we're really at the point now where we're moving it to another level, which is great. And we're very honored to be in your first conversations call, so that's even better. Ooh, how exciting.
Yeah, no, well, thank you both, because you have been hugely integral to this. And I think from a PHA point of view, and the conversations that I've had with various people that are trying to get things underway, it's very difficult to know sometimes where to start. And just having that sounding board and somewhere where you can go, and people that are already on that journey or at the same stage as you, it's really encouraging and inspiring to have those conversations, so you don't feel so completely on your own, because we are doing something completely new here. we're not used to this way of working where you kind of are thrown together based on your location, which is really what's been happening. And so there's so much around communication. How do we communicate effectively? The style of leadership, because there really is more of this self-leadership that we're moving into, and being more responsible, taking more ownership for how we show up in the world. So it's a huge piece, and so your support has been absolutely vital, and I know from who I've spoken to are really, really happy and enjoy those fortnightly calls that you do. So, and I know that obviously through multiple conversations you've had lots of different sort of themes that keep showing up. So I wondered whether you wanted to kind of talk to that a bit about what you've seen, the challenges that are showing up.
We kind of really, when we do our presentations and stuff, we kind of really say at the moment you've only really got three options. You've got three doors, if you like. You've got the door which is kind of control and corruption and, you know, more of that sort of politics and coercion and stuff. Door number one. Then you've got door number two, which is kind of like anarchy, where everyone just sort of loots and steals and, you know, defends their territory, and there's more of that chaos and death effectively. So those are the door number one and door number two, or option number one and two. Or you've got option number three, which is the holistic society, because really it's kind of all pointing in that direction. You know, the big pharma cartels are, you know, making profit on people who are unwell. The government, you know, is increasing their sort of dictates to the populations and funding wars and stuff like that. You know, all these sort of corrupt systems are starting to unravel and come apart, really. And really, it's just pointing in the direction of holistic society, which is door number three, option number three, which is kind of a complete turnaround back to that sort of original harmony, which is really creating these lovely environments for people to come into, where it's really supportive. You've got a bunch of people with various different skill sets and experience who can support you and also help you to come out of suffering. And then you've got this lovely little ecosystem where hopefully you can find your own sort of groove, your own role, and then, you know, increase that lovely abundance within that community. And it's dealing hopefully with some of those issues to do with health, i.e. sort of mental health and stuff like that, or to do with practicality and things like growing and community gatherings and things like that. So there's lots of sort of potential there, and it's just sort of really establishing those kind of hubs, which you guys at the PHA have done and wonderfully. And it's just really kind of encouraging those people as they kind of find us to give them support and to help them become self-governing, like you say, and also give them a bit more kind of resources, hopefully, to then start their own enterprises and fill out those little ecosystems, really. So yeah, it's a joy to do that.
Yeah, and I think from my observations as well, I mean, I think this leadership issue is quite important, because we see a lot of things going on which it could be construed in different ways in the groups. But, you know, we've seen a lot of community groups, you know, really powering forward, particularly at the beginning of like the last 3-4 year period, let's say, and powering forward into creating things. But the style of creating those and the lack of involving everybody and participating has led to a little bit of, you know, gaps in ownership and gaps in, you know, commitment to this thing. And they've ended up falling apart or crumbling a bit. And so, you know, there's some very important, as you say, what does leadership look like in this, where everyone has the same voice, not back to the do as I say, not as I do, or, you know, business or military models of leadership where you just assign tasks and, you know, people follow orders. That's the old style of leadership in these holistic communities. That's not going to work. So everyone has a voice, and there's some amazing creative things that can come out when people realize they have a voice. But the main underlying thing for me is actually people starting to follow their passion. And this is why, you know, I hadn't heard of Ikigai before until you know, Matt introduced it to me. And this idea that, you know, if we can start to do the things that we love to do, that the thing the world needs, that we can make money from, and that we've got skills and knowledge in our kit bag that are actually potentially quite useful and valuable. And we bring those four sort of things together in four circles that overlap, like a Venn diagram. We start to do a personal review of what we have and who we're actually becoming as well, in terms of following our passions. So certainly what we've seen in the last sort of 3-4 years, and certainly last year and a bit with PHA, is people who've been combined and brought together with a dissatisfaction of the status quo. And so they've not been happy. And then we've started to see another level of conscious co-creation emerge, where people are not happy and they want to go and do something about it. And that's where it seems your health hubs and the PHA health hubs, our health hubs, have come from. So this is about heart-led as opposed to head-led. It's the heart energy, the desire to make a contribution on a bigger scale, to do something different from the broken systems and the overbearing authority and command and control and constraints of everything that are being imposed, and to break out of all of that and to then express it, in this case as PHA health hubs, but we could see that as other community groups as well, expressing a desire for a different way of life. So that is really what we're seeing as the spark. And more people now are going, hang on a minute, this doesn't add up in the big picture anymore. So what are we going to do about it? And the question is not waiting for someone to hand something to you, like, here we are, here's the next thing on a preformed piece of paper, but encourage people to get into discussions with each other in your own community groups about where do we want to go, what feels right, what have I got to contribute that would benefit the community as a whole. And that's really what we support on our calls. But of course, things like ego, getting organized, the practicalities of building support. I'm doing all the work. What am I doing here? Everyone's just cruising while I'm doing all the work. How do I get that out more? How do I handle group dynamics as an argument in the group? Somebody's got a very fixed view of what they want. These are the kinds of things that we, and how do we reach out to the community and let them know we're here? How do we get funding to make things happen? These are the kind of themes that come out fairly regularly, isn't that right, Matt? Anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like you say, it's a big mindset shift, really, going from that kind of lack mentality and that sort of mentality of separation, which is kind of being forced into most of the population, to the mentality of unity, integration, harmonizing within the individual, and then those individuals creating these wonderful communities together. And really, the essence of all of this is joy. When you can bring people together and that joy, create that joy, that's the glue that brings everyone together. And under all these various different topics, the PLC really was kind of based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that's quite a well-known model. But I sort of saw it as encompassing the whole of what a human needs, really, but not including things like kind of religion or politics along the way, because those sorts of things divide people. And it's really about finding topics, aligned passions, and projects that people want to start creating and building together. And so it's really about encouraging people at whatever level they're at and in whatever circumstance they're at, and assisting them to start to flourish and blossom and bring out that inner abundance that they don't really know that they've got yet. And each one of us has got a massive sort of repository of knowledge and skill sets and experience that we can all bring and share with other members of the like minds in the communities. And really, like Paul says, it's not hierarchical. It's all kind of Mexicans around the fire, where you all share the benefits, and with people who want to contribute to that. So that's really kind of how we're encouraging people to come into these kind of sanctuaries, if you like, or these kind of loving, kind, supportive environments, and then helping them to start to co-create with others. And that that also needs guidance as well, because obviously you've got the full spectrum of the public, and some people are very kind of damaged and need more support, and some people don't. So it's really kind of finding each other, finding people who can help you out, matching skills, and help making people feel like they're needed and they can contribute and they can add their own particular flavour to the pot, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
sorry.
well, I was going to say, I think the mindset piece is a big one. Something that comes up a lot is, well, I am doing all the work. There's only one or two of us. It's exhausting. Nobody else wants to get involved unless it's the commitment, isn't it? And I think, how do you get people to buy into that this is for them as much as it is for anyone else? So I know that you both have developed brilliant training that actually helps take people on the journey, the sort of self-development and mindset work and the inner work, as much as what we do externally. I wondered if you might want to talk to that a bit about what you developed, because it's brilliant.
Sure, yeah. I mean, should I share a screen? It might be a bit easier to just
if you like,
a couple of things. Am I set up for that?
You are, yes.
Want to make me co-host, or is that I can do that anyway?
You should be able to share.
Great. We're talking about here, there's a lot of words on this, and I think the simplified journey, as we've just been saying, starts with mindset shifts, because we're in effect creating a new world, a holistic new world. And so we need to let go perhaps of some of the old constructs and old beliefs and the things that we thought were true, and sort of start to kind of get into something that's a little bit more expansive and empowering. And so the mindset shifts is one of the early stages of this little journey we're offering. And then getting some principles of what is holistic community building, what makes holistic communities tick. So we did a lovely little fun presentation with Pam Gregory, the astrologer, and Diana Cooper, the well-known spiritual author and presenter trainer. Well, way back, sort of beginning of 23, I think. And we just shared some principles about what it is to build communities and what holistic communities look like, to give people an idea of, wow, these are the principles we're talking about. And I'd like some of that, and I'd like some of that as well in our group. And then we kind of moved into this, how do you create your own vision then for your little group that's starting off? And what would you all love to do in making this work and build the energy together? And then how do we get organized and engage support? How do we handle group dynamics? How do we start delivering some really tangible things up front, and then consolidate what we're doing so we don't sort of suddenly lose control of either quality or consistency or reliability or something that's quite important in the health field particularly, and then expand out more into the community, the environments we're in, to businesses, getting more practitioners and contributions, and build this sort of expansive portfolio, if you like, for a hub of products and services that really make a difference and potentially match the needs of the community. And we know there's some common themes in here, like mental health. Without a doubt, that's the number one thing that's come out through all the discussions for the last, 12, 14 months or however long it's been, is we know there are massive issues of mental health in children, in adults, and in teenagers, and young people. So that's why I'm delighted, we're delighted to see the People's Alliance with Youth as a key theme in there, because and we've talked about that in some of our meetings. So we're getting out to expand, get more people engaged, and grow the membership of this hub and the clientele of this hub, so it becomes a recognized force for good in your community. And then we celebrate progress kind of along the way. We coach others, we share learning, not hoard it. And so we're actually open to sort of bringing in new experiences and new learnings. And that, of course, is the resource libraries that we're both working on. The PHA resource library, we're developing our own resource library. And of course, we're sharing resources there for people in the future as well. So those were the steps of this journey, which was really trying to just give us give people access to the new ideas and solutions we've been fortunate to discuss for the last, 18 months, 2 years, if we count community groups before PHA started, and then unlocking the hidden potentials within your group to kind of get into a more of a flow state and get better relationships and harmonic, interrelationships with each other, and really just create the compelling messages and visions that, your high vibe tribe stands for. Whatever that you stand for there can be presented to the wider community, and the people that are attracted to it start to come in, naturally on that energy and, potentially some level of value and enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a two-pronged approach, really. Isn't it? It's dealing with the individual, helping them to harmonize and kind of flourish and empower them. And then it's, helping communities of those types of people who want to develop and become kind of empowered and more resilient. So it's, the journey for the individual, but then it's also the journey for bringing a community together, and those kind of various kind of ingredients that are needed. And it's just information, and whatever resonates with you, we can help you to explore that even more. What resonates with you, we can help you to explore that even more.
Yeah, just on the individual journey, I might as well, while we're on this, and then we can, just to set the scene, the other learning journey that we've created, again, behind the scenes for the last 12 months and hundreds of hours of pulling together everything we've known. A lot of the co-creating your PLC journey, the first one, is come from the conversations we've been having live with hub builders around the world. But this Own Your Freedom learning journey is really about the collective experiences that myself and Matt have had over many, many years, 10, 15, 20 years of client work, of life coaching, of, spiritual mentoring, coaching, and that sort of thing, to actually bring a journey that's, and again, another worthwhile journey of, learning about what the toxic society is all about, the ways it's impacting us at the moment, because a lot of people might have blind spots about some of that. And then giving some frame of reference for what does this thing called consciousness actually mean? It sounds like it's a big word and we band it around a bit here, but what is it? And what are the stages that we could relate to in ourselves? And then this really important thing that Matt talked about earlier was, how do you create your sacred living space? What is it to live in, to create space and harmony in your energetics, your surroundings, your workspace, and your home life as well. And then we start this journey of knowing ourselves on a deeper level. And we ended up having to break that out into 6 different modules, because we realized that people needed an opportunity to perhaps dump some baggage that had been carried around, or look at things from, early years and be able to release them in some way, to get into a whole new level of self-acceptance that then paves the way for some other holistic community values that we thought were quite sort of important, and for some people quite obvious. Things like love thy neighbor, do no harm, cause no loss, take no crap, standing up for yourself, having boundaries and being able to be, clear about what they are, and then own your realm, own the real me. That's the play on words there. Aren't we clever? But this idea of your owning your own space and being able to put those boundaries around it, and then celebrating you and what it takes to live this for real. So this is about sovereignty. This is about taking power and authority back from where it's been misplaced previously into our own self-empowered state of being. It's all about building a more expanded state of being.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can, the formula's known, if you can help people remove their inner conflict, then it no longer appears in the external kind of reality to them. And the more people that deal on their, go within or self-develop and work on themselves to become a harmonious, kind of balanced individual, then the less there's going to be opportunity for war, conflict, division, and all that. And so really we're kind of providing a kind of menu system not one size fits all. It's how you find it and what resonates with you, and really kind of helping assist you to find that kind of self acceptance, self love, and then co-create and bring out your talents and skills, and feel more kind of alive, rather than kind of feeling like you need to survive, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's the sort of
I
that's the
think
individual
this
journey.
it's such a huge piece of this whole what we're doing here. It's absolutely vital, because you know I've got children, and I know doing my own work, but also listening to a lot of the conscious parenting, and it's about understanding that how you show up in the world is a reflection of how you feel internally. And if we don't love ourselves, if we're not feeling worthy, we're not going to put ourselves out there in the best light. We're not going to be of service to others. And this we're really moving into this service to others society, isn't it? And that doesn't mean that we don't have our own boundaries, that we don't do things that we need to do for ourselves, but it comes from the heart, like you said earlier. We're moving out of the mind into the heart and showing up for everybody. And I think that once you kind of go through that journey, understanding the self, accepting the self, loving the self, the rest of it then kind of follows on naturally.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it prevents, I mean, all this sort of stuff helps people become less judgmental, less, less ill, really, because a lot of this shows up in stress and illness in the body. It's a spiral up rather than a spiral down. It creates more light effectively as you spark other people off. It's a very beneficial way of kind of being, really, and it's practical. It's not all the kind of woo-woo stuff. It's really practical, on the ground. Where are you at? How can we help you out? Sort of stuff. And people there's so many amazing conversations where people are sharing knowledge, and they're like going, oh, I'll take that away and I'll work on that with my community or my hub. And it's such a joy and a buzz to be in amongst groups of people who get it. They actually want to create a better kind of new earth, if you like, and change the whole system up.
Yeah, one of the biggest pennies that we see dropping, and it's just amazing when it happens, is that when people realize that holistic communities that they can build for themselves with people they love and respect and want to be with actually can meet all of their human needs. All of the requirements we have for being social, for being engaged in worthwhile projects, for having your health requirements looked after in an appropriate way, in a holistic way, with all the new med beds and devices that are coming in, and ways of healing on energy and frequency level. Amazing. And to be able to set up business in a supportive, cooperative type environment in your local community, and to use people, like having your own yellow pages, to be able to pick people that are on frequency and got the same value systems and ways of working that you're starting to relate to even more, and having some lawful support so you can take back your power and authority in a way that's really important, to have boundaries against this broken and corrupt legal system in a sense. And then the resources that we're sharing with each other to be empowering resources, so that people can share their learning, share their success stories with each other, so that we all can together achieve more. We're standing on each other's shoulders. So again, it's not this hoarding or knowledge is power mindset. This is the old style and the new. And when people really get the model and get the opportunities that they're there with the people around them saying, wow, we can do this, then that's when we see there's massive leaps that can happen. This isn't a little incremental thing. Look what's happened to PHA over the last year. You've gone from nothing to being in 70 hubs around the UK and in 23 countries in a year on a shoestring budget. Okay, and you've caught the wave, of public interest and okay, dissatisfaction with the status quo. But you've caught the wave. Most businesses will give their right arm to do what has happened here. And this is what true people power represents, is when people get behind an idea, they put their energy into it, they build momentum, they build their conscious awareness. It's fun. It's, you know, we're dealing with issues as they come up, whether they be personality issues or problems. You can come to some coaching and mentoring support process or guidance, and there's other resources available now. This is where the brakes come off and everybody just goes to what their fully expanded version is heading towards. You're just releasing the brakes on this constraint of the old 3D world that's ending before our eyes. It's amazing, amazing process.
Yeah. And you touched on that kind of hoarding versus sharing, which I completely agree. And I think that's why PHS has had so much success, and why individual community hubs around the world have had so much success, is this idea of sharing, of collaborating. It's not about, right, well, I've created this, it's all for me. We have very much an open source model. So anything that comes through, any learnings, any resources that come our way, we share freely. And that again comes down to the mindset shift of, well, I'm not sure I want to, you know, I like having the accolades of having created this all myself. But actually, if we're going to move at the speed that we need to and want to, it is absolutely fundamental that we do share learnings, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are some incredible things going on out there. Let's not copy what they're doing. Let's share what they're doing. And how can we get behind and support that? And that's why this sort of shift from even PHA to the PA, the People's Alliance, it's about bringing all of these different community groups together. So we've got this new hub directory, but that's not just for PHA. That's for anyone that has a community group that's aligned, that wants to be found, so that somebody could come to that directory and go, right, what have I got in my area? Health, well, that's not really my bag. Food, I want to get involved in food, or I've got a home ed group that I want to get behind, and we can kind of cross-pollinate with skill sets in different groups. Somebody might have somebody who's great at social media, another who's great techie. Let's share them. We're in the same area, we've got the same ethos.
Yeah,
Why not all work together?
It's like kind of compound interest, really, or compound information, or compound kind of empowerment. You know, the more people that get together and kind of share that those resources, share their knowledge, share their energies, if you like, at building their lovely communities and systems and way of doing things, the more, you know, the systems, the old sort of slavery system, gonna collapse really under. Because it won't be able to support itself, because people won't be feeding it with that energy anymore. They'll be too busy co-creating with people and having a good laugh, having a good time. You know, since starting this whole kind of PLC thing, Paul and I have been to so many wonderful gatherings where people are full of joy because they're being supported, and they're with like mind, and they're talking freely, and they're kind of expressing themselves as they should, you know, as they are, sort of thing. So it's a real joy seeing the very sort of tip of the iceberg, the very start of this sort of new way of kind of being and new way of doing things. And it's, you know, people really desperately need this sort of stuff as well. So it's great to be helping people facilitate their own kind of communities and coming out of suffering into more abundance and blossoming with, you know, so much joy and heart-led creation. It's so great. It's lovely.
And for some people, that's a very new experience, you know, and other people, they've had it in previous, you know, projects or groups or communities that they've been part of. So they're going back to sort of, you know, oh yeah, this is like how it felt good when I was, I don't know, in the Women's Institute, when I was baking cakes for an event, and, you know, people love I mean,
oh,
cake.
when were you there, Paul?
God,
when
cake.
When were you at the Women's Institute baking cake?
Well, not me, I'm talking generally. It might be in another life.
Right.
But these are some of the old values. See, it's not even new. These are the old values that we had. Like, you know, people talk about the post-war and everyone just looked out for each other. You know, that's loving your neighbor. You know, they didn't want to do any harm. They respect. People could leave the keys of their car in the car. You know, these were the communities there that were, you know, not plagued by some of the creations of this new world, where we've been separated and compartmentalized and divided in so many different ways that it's us and them all over the place instead of we. And, you know, this is we the people, not we the person. It's we the people, and it's the we, not me. So we do need to have our own journey, sort of, you know, an expansive journey mapped out in some way, and that may happen naturally, or you may need a bit of help with that. But it's that collective journey of becoming we again, when we've been set up in lots of ways to be competitive, to be, you know, us versus them.
Yeah,
And that's
and
one of the big mindset shifts, is coming away from us versus
that
them.
non-judgmental space, isn't it? You know, that where you allow people to flourish, to be themselves, to speak freely, and you don't kind of judge them negatively, because the whole aim is to support them in all their kind of various different areas. It's, yeah, well said. I mean, really, there's so much judgment, you know, out there. There's so much condemnation. People are kept in all, like you say, these compartments and stuff like that. And really, it's kind of saying, well, no, there's none of that. Let all that go. You know, here's a bunch of people who really actually are spending some time and energy with you to help you to try and resolve your issues. You know, they can't necessarily do it for you, but they may be able to supply information, or they may be able to put you in contact with people who can kind of assist you on that sort of practical level as well. So, you know, it's really necessary, because there's just so much suffering out there at the moment, and it needs to be people to become more aware of these holistic communities and groups springing up all over the place. And when they do, those, you know, they'll be welcomed with open arms, really. I'm kind of running a stand in the park thing as well, and I'm doing my star teachings. You know, that's all about sort of bringing in people with more information and helping them kind of self-develop. So yeah, it's going to get more and more needed, and it's going to, and knowing humanity, they'll meet, you know, the challenges. And just organisations like Positive Living Communities and People's Health Alliance, they're all fulfilling that need, and growing, because more and more people are coming in to these lovely systems as well. So
Yeah.
And just something else I think to say here quickly, and I know, you know, we're doing a lot of airtime, but nice to Amanda to speak as well. But taking action is one of those things that's a bit of a cure-all and a bit of an antidote to feeling stuck. And of course, then it's necessary to have discernment about what kind of action you do take. And so what we're sort of supporting and assisting people with is to take expansive action that helps you spiral up, not sort of actions that take you down, you know, the rabbit hole, or deep kind of limitations. Because many people feel like stuck in the headlights, or, you know, my God, what's going to happen? And we hear it, you know, they come into meetings and they'd fear bomb. You know, we've seen this in you know, various meetings that I've been in over the last 3 years, where people are having discussions and open mic things, and then they dump a great big fear bomb in the middle of the 300 people, and then just watch it go off. So somebody like me comes on the mic and says, well, actually, we have a choice of how we want to react to these things, and try and correct it. So this addiction to the media narrative in order to appear informed, or to be sort of some sort of you know, catalyst for positive change, and realize if what you're saying is negative or fear laden, then you're actually doing the cabal's job for them. You're actually helping to disrupt
manifest that, yeah,
positive energy. Yeah. And so that level of self-awareness is very important when you get into these holistic groups. So you might have fears. We all have fears and uncertainties and doubts and anxieties, but you may not want to express them in a way that kind of, you know, disables the group itself and the group dynamics. So there are times for having group discussions, and then having off to the side one-to-one discussions, where you might share some concerns with, you know, a trusted elder, advisor, or somebody that you feel you could talk to. So again, we're learning how to be in holistic community together as we're actually doing it. There's no training, well, till now a little bit, but training programs to assist people and learning journeys. We're doing it on the job. So it's always going to be, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have to learn from it, and unlearning the things that we thought were true is a big part of it for me.
Yeah, we're very organic. We're not a slick operation. We're kind of as you find us, really. And I think
None of us are.
I like that though. I prefer that rawness, and it's authentic, isn't it? And being your authentic self is one of the best ways, in most joyous ways to be.
And I think, like you say, the how you put things out, the message you want to get, where you want to place your energy is important. And having an awareness of what's going on is always good, because you want to know, okay, well, there's potential for this, but not letting it impact what you actually do and where you spend your time. Because creating positive change is going to require action. It's going to require, but also I think people get stuck in this analysis paralysis where they think, oh my God, there's so much that I need to do. I don't even know where to start. So what would your advice be, given that you've been helping quite a few now in the last 18 months? What would your advice be for somebody who was just starting out, who just thought, I really want to do something, but I don't know where to start? Is there kind of like a first step that you would recommend that they take just to get them on the ladder?
Well, really, it's I would say, follow your passions, really, find out what it is that gives you joy, and define that and increase that effectively. It's quite simple. It's and not really paying too much notice to these kind of external narratives. It's finding your own way to be, really, to help you start finding those extra kind of skills and talents and gifts that you're not even aware of yet. Because a lot of people, they block themselves when they're in fear. They block themselves from potential, from opportunities, from their own potential as well. And it's really, I would say, it's look at it more in terms of risk assessment rather than being fearful of stuff. If you can kind of be practical and assess the risk of things, you've got more of a handle on it, and it's not so much emotional stuff. Really, it's kind of, to me, it's about really not swimming in the emotions. It's becoming observant of yourself, and it's kind of taking a good hard look at yourself and kind of being practical about it. Not judgmental or negative, but just kind of practical, and seeing taking stock where you are with the sort of cards that you've been dealt with. And like I said before, it's like you can be dealt with an amazing set of cards to start with, but play your hand really badly. But also equally, you could be dealt with an absolute pants, hand of cards, but play them exquisitely well. And so, like it's down to the life choices that we make. So helping people observe themselves, get to know themselves, become self-aware, self-accepting, and self-loving is the first practical start, and just give them lots of lovely information as they ask it, and as they're driven by their kind of interests and passions. That's the sort of thing.
It's a great, thanks, Matt. And I just build on that a little bit. It's a great question, Amanda. And I just, a little doodle came out as we were talking, because it does start with love, heart-led. This is moving to heart-led desires. So really what your heart-led desires rather than what your head's saying. And then if you can find something or write down something that what you want to do or what you feel drawn to do and why. So starting with why early on is, I know we've done Simon Sinek and other people talk about the power of why, and starting with why is it important to you and why is it important to other people, do you think? And having some simple statements around that. The next thing is keep it simple. Okay, so you find your passion, start with why is it important to you and what do you want to try and do, and then keep it really simple to begin with. And then the next step is start trying to find people to talk to test out your ideas and find any other people on your frequency with this idea. Because if you can co-create with other people, then it's going to be two pairs of eyes or more has different perceptions coming into what you want to do. And that's sometimes quite helpful rather than going off on your own pipe dream and not being able to check any blinkers you've got about, how you see the world or what you think's real out there. You can check with other people who are really on the same page and the same vibration and frequency or same enthusiasm, and they like it, they like your idea. And then you're on a co-creation journey then with other people, and as that takes a little bit more shape and form, maybe you want to create some kind of vision statement, then you can actually again go out and show people your one pager or your deep sea scroll that Matt had kind of got. No, I mean, the state of this thing, it's like, you know, it's got things sellotaped on.
I
But
found it the other day.
well, I've got a picture of it I can
I'll
share.
bring it
if you-
out one time.
In fact, let me share what we, you know, hang on, let me just give you a real life example, because this happened to me. You know, I actually, here we are.
Oh yeah.
So here's the starting point for positive living communities. So this is Matt's design. You can see it's very careful. It's been unrolled and rolled up so many times. We had to use plates to, you know, this is really high-tech stuff. And you could see the different zones here, the different areas of need, and how Maslow's hierarchy of needs could be met in each of these areas. As soon as I thought, wow, this is really amazing. So that's just enough. Something like that will captivate people in the right, you know, mindset as you. And then the other piece of paper we had was this one,
Oh
which
yeah.
yeah, you remember that?
All the flow of
Which is-
energies and stuff like that.
which
Yeah,
is the
great.
energy flows, and talking about this community hub model. And there you are, PHA right on there as the example, as this was kind of starting off, and saying, well, that's the great example over here. And you've got community assemblies, and you've got, you know, potential enterprise things and common law stuff and training and education modules. And that was the beginning that just sort of all the lights came on for me. I can see how we can make that work. I can see that. So I'm on frequency with Matt, and then we joined forces to build on all our strengths to co-create and co-found this plc.com, positivelivingcommunities.com, which incidentally is PLC is one in the eye for the corporate world, because
Oh yes.
taking back the term PLC for the people, we the people. So it's positivelivingcommunities.com isn't .company, it's .community for me. So we're taking back some of those things. And this all just became a journey and a life, it got a life of its own. This thing we were birthing together.
It's,
And it's
it's ironic, isn't it? We've gone from it's PLC, public limited company, is and the L really is the new one in our PLC is living. So we're going from limited to living in terms of, and that's like a really good analogy of, you know, the situation where people are living in their limited capacity and forced to be in living in ways that they don't necessarily want to. And we're helping people to come out of that limitation and start living again, and start creating those wonderful, joyous, you know, gatherings and events and projects, you know, because we do all sorts of, we're helping people with enterprises as well, helping them with build up their own particular business and stuff like that. And really it's kind of investing in people rather than profit, because people create the profit. You know, it's not the end result. It's actually if you invest in the people and their hearts, and that just builds loyalty, and that builds more abundance. And then, you know, that removes all that sort of scarcity, because people are working in conjunction with each other to create those wonderful things.
Yeah, I think
so
sorry,
the starting point then can be very simple. It doesn't have to be snazzy. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, you know, really sophisticated. You can just have some things on paper that are coming from your heart that transmits when you start to talk to other people who are on frequency. So don't worry about whether people are going to like it or not. The right people will like it. And then you can start to develop it from those initial diagrams. Another thing to say is pictures are worth 1,000 words. So if you can create a model or an image or a picture of your idea and then start talking to other people, the people that are on frequency will get it. And then you're away.
That's good. That's already given me some ideas for my grand vision that I have had for the last however many years. So I absolutely love talking to you two. You break it down into such a simple process, which it actually is. At the heart of it, it is simple. It's just we tend to overcomplicate things. We want to have the finished product before we've even got started. And I think it's just seeing it as a journey, staying present throughout the journey, because I think once you get into this future thinking, this is what I want, you almost kind of lose the magic of the journey and just accepting where you're at and the process, and it becomes far more enjoyable, and you feel like you're in the flow when you're not constantly thinking about the end product, aren't you? So if people wanted to find you, what would be the best way?
Well, we've got
oh, go
the
on,
website. Yeah, we've got the website, www.positivelivingcommunities.com, where you can come and view all the stuff that we're doing as just a public and you can also come on to the Zoom calls, the conference calls, where we're getting everyone to share those information from around the world. And then you can also become a member as well, where we can help you drill down a bit more deeply into some of the issues that you may be facing and challenges that you're facing at the moment. So yeah, positivelivingcommunities.com is our website.
And a lot of the information, the overview is on the homepage there, so you can scroll down on that. And as Matt says, we are looking to build our membership now. We've been deep in sort of supporting on the fortnightly free Zoom calls, but we're offering another alternate fortnightly PLC members calls that we can, you know, go into some of the more personal development issues, because people come on the public calls and they're really, you know, talking about hub building issues. So that how do we, you know, some of the things we've talked about earlier. But we know there's an individual learning journey to all this that underpins what you can create with what level of energy you're working with personally. So if people are going on these learning journeys, then we want to be able to support them with issues that come up, both personally and at a deeper level with their community, and also really coach the coaches that are going to be assisting and supporting their local groups. So that's why we think, you know, we've offered the PLC membership so that it provides a different forum for more deeper dives into some of the more relevant stuff and the personal issues that people are coming up with as they go through perhaps some of those learning journeys. And I wanted to say something a bit about value and energy exchange in this, because, you know, I think we're still in the 3D world and we still have bills to pay and the realities of that. And I've seen a lot of people doing loads of work in you know, for various causes, spending loads of time and then actually almost going broke or having really difficult, and this is the reality check, is that you spend time building the future and future building, and yet, you know, you still need to manage the bills, the rent, the things that are coming in for the time being until we get a Gasara wealth redistribution quantum financial system, and then money won't be the scarcity item it is. So we are, you know, for ourselves, you know, we have a price for membership. So that's £11 a month. We don't think that's a massive amount for what we feel we can offer. And also there's a price for the learning journeys, because it's literally taken us hundreds of hours to pull it all together behind the scenes. And so I think there's an expectation sometimes that because this is a bit like, oh, well, this is going to be creating the new councils, if you like, and oh, well, the government, we don't pay for those services, although we do, but, you know, and it's going to be free. I think, you know, I've seen a reality in terms there has to be some kind of energy exchange at the time being, you know, for the time being. And, you know, Matt and myself would love to be able to give all this for free, but sometimes when it's for free, people don't value it the same. So if they've had to make a bit of a financial investment in themselves, then first of all, they're more likely to be motivated to get benefits from it because they've paid some money and they want to be able to access the value and unlock that in themselves as well. And actually it's, you know, we've still got to keep the business running, pay the bills and all of that stuff. So I think that part of it, I've seen a lot of people really out there going for it and then running into really quite difficult financial situations. And especially if they've been so outspoken that they've had bank accounts stopped and things taken away, that's destroyed their livelihood. And I think people coming into this, there's a value for what we do, and I think how we gauge that and where we pitch that is still, a discussion to be had. But I think there is some value, and whilst we're still in the financial system, there's a balancing between what we can.
This is all, about the the new frequencies, the new ways of looking about things. It's about the mutual exchanges of energies, in these kind of new holistic societies. It's about people actually investing their energy, and whether that's money, their time, their energy, into these kind of new systems. The fence sitters, the bystanders, they're going to fall by the wayside, because these little communities and ecosystems need collaborative support and exchanges with people, and that you can't do all for free. We still, like Paul says, straddle the 3D world and some of those kind of challenges, because we're in that transitional period, where a lot of high frequency people and expanded sort of consciousness kind of projects are coming on really nicely, but we're also coexisting with people still stuck in the 3D, still having to practically pay the bills, take their kids to school, all those sorts of things, and those take money and resources from you. So as we kind of help people change their mindsets and come into more mutual exchange groups of energy and stuff, and they also have more ability to have a say and a sway in those kind of projects. There's got to be some form of mutual exchange, and really, at the end of the day, all those kind of investments into these kind of, especially into the PLC and PHA, they all pool into the center resources, and then those participants get to share. It's like the cooking pot thing, where everyone adds an ingredient and then you all get to share the meal. That's a simple kind of analogy of the way kind of funding.
It's the abundance mindset over the scarcity mindset, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course, when you're if we think about it in a different way, it's investing in yourself, and so what I don't know, this is a bit corny, but what price do you put on your holistic society future? What's that worth to you? And in real terms,
well, peace of mind, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's all these things, and I think as people start to get more connected to this journey, they become more kind of aware of a priority, and it becomes more of a priority for them. But at the moment, so many people have been hammered by the economy and the rundown of businesses and the deliberate crashing of the economy and things, and restrictions. I mean, you only have to listen to the farmers thing. I mean, we're on the PFFA. I was on the PFFA call last night, listening to some of the farmers and the people involved in that, and the mobilization of effort now that's going on. And the farmers is another major group that needs our help and support. And this is very real, and it's blooming real for the farmers, because they can't make money out of their business anymore. It's just the hands being tied behind the back, to the point where there's no option now but to stand together and say no more. So it comes to a point for all of us where we've got to make some different decisions about what we invest in, and it's a good thing.
And we're just encouraging those groups to come together, aren't we? So those assembly points, because if, say, the web gets cut and everything goes dark and you can't use the communication devices, you can rely on those groups of people that you've assembled with, and those friendships and those resources combined, to get you through it, hopefully. So,
Absolutely. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you both, as always. I will add all of the details, so the links to the fortnightly call and your website, into the description that shall go on our YouTube channel. and look forward to hearing all about it in another 3 months, probably, when you are flying and everyone else is absolutely flying with you.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you
it's great.
both.
Thanks for the opportunity to share as well. It's always great talking with you, Amanda. Thanks.
Yeah, totally.